Hello everybody, welcome back once again, to my TV review series. Today we'll be breaking down Yellowstone Season 3. Again, kind of doing a hybrid of what I used to do with like Breaking Bad and what I'm currently, and as opposed to what I did with The Wire, or at least the second couple seasons, but writing down the major plot developments but not scene by scene. We'll do the plot synopsis, character development, and overall grade, and some final thoughts, major themes if there's any. But at the beginning, Jamie becomes the Livestock Commissioner after not killing himself. In Season 2, again after he killed the reporter, he almost killed himself. John stopped him from doing so. John Dutton's the current Livestock Commissioner. Jamie gets appointed. Rip runs the bunkhouse and gets a new house with Beth, and hires a new chick called Tater. I think it's Tater or Teeter, but she is a rather unbearable character. She's a rancher with a heavy Texas accent that is, again, extremely drawn out, and you can't literally understand what they say. And that's kind of like the plot line for her. Like, they're always talking about how they can't understand what she says, but as a consumer, it's just like, why is this character in the show? So do not like her character at all. But she comes in, she's, again, real, she's like a thin blonde chick with a real slangy, twangy accent that just acts real, She's packing lips, like dip tobacco, chewing tobacco, spitting, cursing a bunch. So that character did nothing for me. But that's who the new hire is for Rip. The new house he has with Beth is, again, somewhere on the ranch and just a little single family residence. All the Duttons go camping. It's called summer camp. Just someplace on the ranch where they go up and set up tents and enjoy the summer, fishing, hiking, boating, kayaking, stuff like that. And so they're all up there for probably about half the season. And then probably about halfway through, John says his summer's over with the new group Market Equities that comes into play. I think Market Equities might have been in Season 2 as well. But a New York fund looks to build an airport, ski resort in a city. That's the Market Equities, just a big New York fund with a lot of money coming in to, basically their pitches, it'll bring a lot of jobs, it will help the city, and if you get all these permits and whatnot, and if they get the permits, then it'll be approved on the Yellowstone ranch. So the Livestock Commission roughs up some thieves and they die. The agent is arrested. So basically, again, Jamie's the Livestock Commissioner. These two dudes come in and beat up a girl and steal her cattle. Maybe not steal her cattle, but just like beat her up or something. And so one of the Livestock Commission gets a bunch of people, well, like at least, 5 to 10 agents. And one of the agents to Jamie Dutton's like, we got to send a message. So they put him in the back of like a horse trailer, like we drive horses with, it's a horse stall, and he just like starts and stops the car a bunch so that they get roughed up. Turns out they die. So he calls him, Jamie from prison's like, yeah, we got a problem. Jamie coaches his defense, and the victim's dad helps cover up. And so basically what happens is, I'm not exactly sure, but the livestock agent that did it, he's in jail, and he's in there like, this is what happened, and Jamie's like, as a lawyer, like, that is not what happened, this is what happened, and the guy's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what happened, this is what I should say, type of deal. And so Jamie goes to the victim's dad to basically say, I'm going to be honest and open with you, this is what happened, and we need, your word that your daughter won't say anything, and we need to clean out the blood from the horse trailer, making the father of the daughter an accessory to murder as well. And so the dad was all with it. He's like, yeah, we cool. So they clean out the blood, and that's kind of the end of that. There's one more scene later on. Jimmy pursues rodeo life, meets Mia, gets severely injured, and John pays. So again, Jimmy's looking for his way off the ranch, a way to make some more money. He had won the rodeo in Season 2, so he's going to go try that again. Right before his run, he meets this girl. They call them buckle bunnies, just girls that like dudes who do rodeos. He does his run and gets severely injured, has a hip replacement, breaks his bones, his ribs, and John pays, and he's like, I'll pay for this once, but not again. So basically John says that Jimmy can no longer do rodeo life. After that, when Jimmy's in recovery, Mia, who's definitely chasing the rodeo dudes, she's like, let's consummate this relationship. Let's bang one out in the hospital. And so you learn that that was Jimmy losing his virginity. Yeah, imagine being, I don't know how old Jimmy is in the movie. Probably looks about late 20s. Imagine being a virgin in late 20s. Faggot. What a faggot. Huge faggot. But honestly, me being a virgin is fucking hilarious because it is the sole result of being scapegoated by all the fucks who can't pay their mortgages or get a fucking career going. As at the same time, I can't pay $1 million to stop getting literally tortured. Market Equities issues a cease and desist for the casino build. Not exactly sure what the play was there, but basically just to slow down throughout the season, again, Chief Thomas and the Broken Rock Reservation team, they're not really working with anybody. They'll play all the white people, but the John Dutton and Chief Thomas have some similar objectives in this season. So that's about it for the cease and desist. Casey then gets appointed Livestock Commissioner, probably episode 3 or 4, shortly after Jamie does. And Jamie's now the Attorney General. And so you have, again, John Dutton kind of retiring-ish. Jamie's the Attorney General. Casey's the Livestock Commissioner. John is, again, friendly and bangs it out again at summer camp with Chief, the governor, whatever her name is. Beth can't have kids, asked to be called wife, and shorts Market Equities. So you learn a backstory that Beth had, I think, gotten pregnant by Rip as tweens, young kids, 12 to 14 or something. And so instead of going to her dad, who she was afraid would be, furious to get an abortion, she goes to Jamie. Jamie takes her to the Broken Rock Reservation, and for whatever reason, when they do abortions there, they sterilize you as well. So basically, the whole season, or the whole series, Beth and Jamie have a very strained relationship. And they're always being extremely disrespectful to one another. Beth openly hates Jamie. Jamie's, again, real emotional. He almost killed himself last season. But because of the abortion, she cannot have a child. And so there's a scene where she asked to be called wife with Rip, and he's like, and she's like, did I just ruin it? And he's like, no, I'll call you whatever you want. And she basically explains that she can't have kids. It's not exactly sure if she explains exactly to Rip why she cannot have kids. The Yellowstone crew rumbles with a biker gang cutting fences. Some biker gang cuts the fences, they put up a bunch of barbed wire fence for their land. The biker gang goes in there and they're just drinking, partying, just hanging out on the land. And so they go, it's on site. They just basically start fighting right when the Yellowstone crew pulls up and says to leave. I think we get back up on here, but we'll see. But then after that, I don't know if I have any more notes on this scene. But after that, basically John and the whole crew sit there and wait because they expect the biker gang to come back after dark and burn the field. They start doing that. John's sitting there, and then all the dudes come out with guns. He makes them dig their own graves. He's like, you're gonna die here. Or he says, with the first interactions, like if you come back, you're gonna die here. They come back to burn the field. He makes them dig their own graves and learns they're from California, and is like, go back to California and never come back here again, and lets them leave. Some dude kills himself. He gets basically his ranch is getting foreclosed, and he can't afford anything, so he just blows his head off. The Casey, he has horses that are basically of some value, but it's illegal. I guess, again, the bank's trying to, collect on their debt. So Casey, it's a little bit illegal, but he makes the decision, but John supports whatever decision he has, and he decides to take the horses to an auction house and raise some money for the family. He ends up getting $16,000 for the horses, gives it to the wife, and the wife's like, oh, there won't be any funeral. Casey's like, no, this is for the funeral to help out, and she's like, oh, there won't be any funeral. I didn't more than that pathetic fuck one time. He killed himself, he's a coward, so let him die rot in the field. we once again have the great logical writing of like out of like all 10 TV shows I've reviewed on here, besides like just the overview of the crime show ones, we have for the 10th time, I could give a fuck. You couldn't give a fuck, because if you could give a fuck, you wouldn't give a fuck. If you can't give a fuck, there's no more fucks to give. So here we go again with this stupid line of people just don't think about what the fuck they are saying. But they're just talking about fish. Again, it's just probably the owner, Rourke, of the market equities, talking with Beth, who's again shorts the stock. There's somebody's not exactly sure, like Beth shorts market equities, and then market equities pumps up the price of her firm that she works for, basically to get a rally going and then dump all the shares for a huge crash. As a market person, that really think that works out. I don't think that would work out in real life like that. But that's what's going on there. Some bison dudes or buffalo dudes are annoying John. You learn later that they're hired by a Rourke. There's an old dude, literally probably about 55 to 65, and a younger dude, probably 20, probably 35. And they're literally hired by market equities of Rourke's market equities to basically get John to do something that's illegal so they can sue him or send him to jail. And so they're they're bringing buffalo or bison right up next to the fence and just letting him sit there, and then they antagonize him throughout the season. Market equities offers $500 million for Dutton's land. Some cattle and calves get stolen. Market equities wants to buy the land. John wants nothing to do with it, and the rest of the kids are pretty much like, you should sell it, or we're going to do whatever Dad wants. So some cattle and calves get stolen. An Indian girl goes missing on Broken Rock Reservation. They quickly find her, and she is dead. Jamie was adopted because his father killed his mother. Once Jamie gets appointed to Attorney General, he's got to go get some appointment or get some papers, goes to the state house, the courthouse, and realizes that he's adopted the whole time. Beth proposes to Rip. Basically, Beth loves Rip, but Rip won't propose to her because she would never ask John for her hand. So basically, Beth asks John's permission for permission from John for Rip to propose to her, or for her to propose to Rip. So she gets a ring and proposes to him after getting John's approval. Casey and the livestock agents shoot out with the cattle thief. His daughter was home. They go to investigate the stolen cattle. Livestock Commission's here. There's 3 of them. Casey and 2 other agents. The dude just starts blasting. Got a shotgun. He hits one guy, livestock agent, kind of in the side. Doesn't seem to be a serious wound. And another one kind of gets cut up pretty bad on his arm. I don't think either of them die, and you don't really get much follow-up. And then Casey whacks the dude. And then you see at the end of the episode, his young daughter, probably 5, standing over her dead father's body. Jamie was adopted. Oh, I just read that one. Monica gets kidnapped. When her car breaks down, the op gets slumped, and it was a trap. So because the Chief Thomas and Mo, who's the right-hand man for the Broken Rock, or for Chief Thomas of Broken Rock Reservation, basically Monica agrees to lure out the thief, or the murderer who killed the young girl. I forget what her name was. And so she has her car break down in the middle of the reservation. Some white dude, probably 35 to 45, comes up. It's like, I'll drive you to town. Drives her up on top of this hill. She realizes it's going to go south. She starts running. He starts chasing her. He gets on top of her. She hits him with a rock. Starts getting away again. Tackles her again. And then either Mo or one of the Broken Rock police force shoots the dude in the head. So that's what happens there. And again, Casey didn't tell Monica about killing the dude who stole the cattle. Monica didn't tell Casey about participating in luring out the guy who killed the Indian girls on the reservation. So there's more, again, honestly just dull scenes of, oh, I know what it's like to be you now. Oh. Again, has entertainment values for people who just jerk off to death and jerk off to murdering, because it's their big fascination, because they have no personalities. But that was that. The bison buffalo dudes trampled Tater and the black Wrangler, and John denies market equities offer. So literally Tater and the black dude, Black Wrangler, it's not supposed to be racist, I just don't remember his name, and it's just script. And so Tater's trying to come on to Black Wrangler the whole time. He's like, I want nothing to do with it, this is not gonna happen. Tater's like, let's go skinny dipping. They start doing that, and then the two buffalo dudes come through and literally have their horses like trample them. You don't really know because it happens at the end of the episode, but trample them severely. Black Wrangler's pretty beat up. Tater has a pretty severe gashing wound on her arm. He applies first aid, and they take him back to the bunkhouse. And so, anything else from there? No. Lloyd and Rip see Walker at a bar singing and playing guitar, kidnap him, and hire him back. Again, because last season, Rip was going to go take Walker to the train station, which is killing him. And Casey's like, no, I'll do it. Said, if you don't ever come back here, I'll let you go. Lets him go. They see him singing, playing. He played guitar in the bunkhouse, so they see him singing and playing guitar at a local bar. And I guess he can't leave because he's on parole. And again, he's seen too much at the ranch, so it's like, you either have to work for us again or we're going to have to kill you. And so he ends up working with them again. Market Equities buys Schwartz and Meyer majority. They fire Beth. Jamie meets his dad and distances himself from John. Basically, Jamie learns, meets his dad, talks to him a little bit, and, through that conversation has the realization that John didn't really love him. John and Jamie have a conversation where it's like, I raised you, I get to call you son. And then Jamie's actual father is like, he raised you, but did he love you? And you can see Jamie's like, oh yeah, not really. There's another scene in the last season about, Beth asking John, do you really love Jamie? And he's like, yeah, not as much as my actual kids. He doesn't say that, but his body language does. So the bunkhouse slides on the Buffalo Boys. Walker cuts his brand off, and they hang the old one. Basically, one of them, Walker, I think, lures them out, and then the whole crew starts chasing them. The younger dude, like the 35 to 45-year-old dude, he gets lassoed, falls off his horse, hits his head on the rock, and dies. Very similar to season 1 when Casey lassoed a dude who was, again, going to rape somebody in a van, and he hit his head on the rock. So the other one, the older dude, like he was branded, he worked for John at some point. And again, the people that have brands are, Casey has a brand because John did it to him, but just people who've been given a second chance or criminals or something like that. And so they literally cut the skin off of the old guy's brand and then hang him, and he's dead. Market Equities, John, Jamie, Beth, the governor, Chief Thomas, meet Mo. They have some other attorney who has way too much lip filler, but another Native American lady, and they meet over the land deal. And Beth sabotages Market Equities CEO. Basically, John's like, this is where John and Chief Thomas's interest align. Basically, like Market Equities is like, we have the permits, we have the approvals. The governor can indemnify the land. If they do that, Jamie can't be the attorney general because it's conflict of interest. And they'll have somebody else state prosecute. And because of all the jobs and the benefit for the valley, it will go through. And then the attorney for Broken Rock is like, well, what about the wildlife projections or like the wildlife approvals? And apparently they don't have them. So it's kind of like, John calls it a curveball, but basically there's like some other approval or some other permits analysis they have to do to be able to build, and John and the Broken Rock team thinks they can stop Market Equities from building. Because both John doesn't want to sell his land, and the Indian tribe doesn't want anyone to have the land besides them, or get it back. But Beth sabotages Market Equities CEO by basically sending to reporters complaints about workplace violations, something to do with HR, human resources. So then Mia doesn't want to date Jimmy if he quits rodeo for John. Basically, Mia's like, you can rodeo, you can have me if you continue to rodeo, and Mia's not a fan of the branding, and that's that. And so Jimmy gets back on the horse at the end of the season at the Yellowstone ranch and for a couple bucks, and he gets thrown off really bad, and he's just laying there in the dirt. So, to be continued on his outcome. But there was another one, Mia has a blonde friend who's originally kind of like, not really with Lloyd, but like flirty, arm around, dancing with him, and Lloyd's older, like 65. And so when Walker comes back to work at the ranch, the blonde chick is definitely interested in Walker. So Walker tells Lloyd one morning that they didn't get much sleep last night, and Lloyd's not too excited about that. But Walker and Lloyd together dump the bodies in the Wyoming thing, and they say that it's like 100 miles from where anybody lives, and there's no town here, so there's no like jurisdiction. So he says everybody from 4 states dumps their secrets here. And Lloyd tells Walker, not over the girl, but just you gotta find a way to not become one of the corpses. And so Jimmy's laying there on the ground because Mia wants him to continue to rodeo. And the season finale was actually it developed the plot well. Beth's office, and then at this point, after the big meeting about the deal, Market Equities Rourke and Market Equities CEO, who's just, 40-year-old black lady, he's like, I can play as dirty as we want. And so Beth's office, again, she has this office, Market Equity buys a majority of her company, fires her, and so they're moving all of their stuff out. And then they get another box in a box. And so, again, her first secretary got killed, and this secretary's like, what's this? And Beth quickly realizes, like, no, don't open it. Boom. So her office gets bombed. Casey's office is stormed after Casey killed the dude who stole the cattle. Again, a justified shoot. He has all of the town's respect, all of the cattle ranchers, all of the other livestock or fishing and wildlife people want him to run for governor. So he's got a lot of the town's respect. At the very end, his office gets stormed and people start shooting. He flips over his desk and takes cover and gets out his gun. No real resolution past that. Final scene, John is driving down the road, sees some lady with an actual broken tire. Again, I don't think she was a setup like Monica was, but some lady and her kid from California with a flat tire. John stops to help her change it, and as he's doing that, he's giving the young kid some lessons just about, do this with the tire, get the lug nuts. Another creeper van drives by, and John's like, no, we got it, we can help him find it, we don't need any more help. The guy's like, aren't you John Dutton? He's like, yeah, why? And then the back door opens up, and a shooter jumps out and starts spraying him. He gets hit several times, the chick starts screaming and takes off, and they gun down the chick as well. So that's why I don't think it was a setup. And so you see John leaning against his, like the wheel, the hubcap of the wheel, and it's like, oh sweet, this is a great day. So Rip's calling around, can't get a hold of anybody, calls Jamie, he's like, you shouldn't call me anymore, Rip, and that's pretty much the end of the season. So, my overall grade, I really did like the season finale, again, not even for the violence, just for the plot progressing, but I'm going to drop it down to a B+. Still thoroughly enjoy it, but there's just too much. Again, it's like every scene there's some like music playing in the background, and Casey and John will be standing there staring off into space, and there'll be like one-liner philosophy, and I'm supposed to be sitting there like, oh wow, what a breathtaking understanding of the human experience. And then there's the retort with another one-liner thing, and then Rip and Beth will be talking about, there's a scene about Beth like, how many have you killed? Rip, oh, don't ask me that. Again, just all of this insecurity of this broken fucking society. So I'm gonna have to drop it down because just throughout the season was again, it wasn't off-putting. I mean, it's still B+, it's still highly entertaining, but it was just too much of that. Again, I don't need one-liner philosophies. I need the plot to develop and to be entertaining. That is literally it for me. But again, you gotta know your audience, and this is the most pathetic criminal fucking society ever. So, that is my review for Yellowstone Season 3. And again, just saw, I'll be talking about it more on my other things, but Elon Musk just agreed to buy Twitter for free speech, because I can't pay $1 million to stop getting literally tortured. So I don't live in beta male society, I don't live in La La Land, I live in the real fucking world. First day I get human rights that if I'm ever alive to see that happens, fuck everyone, scorch the fucking earth. Thank you for watching my Yellowstone Season 3 review.